Alright, so we are starting our notes on triangle theorems. So you will need a pair of scissors, you'll need some glue, you'll need a notebook or a piece of paper because this is a foldable. So the first thing you're going to do, we're just going to set up our foldable before we set up our notebook. You're going to just fold your foldable to this dotted line, and you're going to just go ahead and crease it there. So you see triangle theorems, angle sum, and then you have this black line here. We're going to actually take our scissors and you're going to cut this black line just all the way across. And voila, you have a foldable. So it opens up, as you can see, and we're going to get back to this foldable, but first you need your paper or your notebook, wherever you're going to be gluing this into. And so we're going to just start by writing at the top, triangle. We're going to write triangle theorems at the top of your notebook page or your piece of paper. And if you're wondering where this comes from in the book, it's going to be section 9.1.3/9.1.4. So just so you understand where it's coming from. So the first thing we want to do is just get some definitions quickly, because you are going to be learning theorems and you can't really know and understand theorems without understanding their definition. So the first thing you want to do is write the definition for an exterior angle. At any time during this video, you can pause it to get any of this down, okay? So the first definition is for exterior angle, and it is going to be an angle outside of the triangle created by extending one of the sides of the triangle. Okay, so an angle outside of the triangle created by extending one of the sides of the triangle. So that is what an exterior angle is, and we're going to look at that more when we get into our foldable. And then the second definition we need are called remote, not the remote control, but remote interior angle. Okay, so we're going to look at that definition. So the remote interior angle, so that is two angles not adjacent. And remember, adjacent just means next to. So these angles are not next to the exterior angle. That says exterior. We kind of got cut there. And another way of saying this is they're opposite. Are opposite the exterior angle. So again, you're writing your notes, pausing as you need, because these are very important definitions that we want to have as we go through our foldable. So again, this is your notebook or your piece of paper. You can do what you like with it. It is yours. So get those down, pause it if you need to, and then we're just going to move straight into the foldable. So for our foldable, we're going to start with the angle sum theorem. So the angle sum theorem says all the measures of the angles in a triangle add up to 180. So all the measures of a triangle have a sum of 180 degrees. And again, important word, sum. We know that the word sum means just to what? To add. So when we add all the angles in the triangle, it's going to equal to 180 degrees. So what does that look like? That looks like us taking our three angles here. So 1, 2, 3, and adding them together. So we have 80 degrees plus 60 degrees plus 40 degrees, and when we add those all up, it equals 180 degrees. So we know 180 degrees does equal 180 degrees. Check. Okay, so that is how we know that it's a triangle. All the angles will equal to 180 degrees. Good. All right, so now let's look at our exterior angle theorem. And actually, before we look at that, let's go ahead and practice this theorem by opening it up. And let's practice it above. So again, we're looking at our three angles. We're going to look at our three angles, okay? I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. There we go. So we have our three angles here, 82 degrees, 34 degrees, and N. And we know that all of these angles together are going to add to 180 degrees. So we're missing this N here, or this value here. So we want to make sure that we solve for N. And I want to make sure you can see this clearly. Okay. So let's do it. So we have 82 degrees plus 34 degrees plus N degrees is going to equal 180 degrees. And now we're just going to use our solving equation skills to get this N by itself. So we have 82 plus 34. When we add that together, you're going to get 116 degrees. So we just combine those like terms. And now we want to get rid of this 116 because we want to get N by itself. So we're going to subtract 116 from both sides because the opposite of a positive is a negative. So the 116's cancel. The N comes down. So we have N degrees is going to equal 64 degrees. Also, feel free to pause this video, try them all first, and then check your answers afterwards so you can get some practice in. Let's look at the next one. So these are 3 degrees, and this box here, and 32 degrees. So again, we first need to figure out what does this box represent. We should remember that this box here that's on this L shape here is a 90-degree angle. We're going to put 90 degrees there. So we have 90 degrees plus 32 degrees plus N degrees is equal to 180 degrees because that's what our theorem says. All these angles together have to equal 180. We're going to go ahead and combine our like terms, which is going to give us 122 degrees plus N degrees equals 180 degrees. Now we want to get N by itself. So this is a positive 122 degrees. So we're going to do the opposite of a positive, which is to subtract or make it negative. And we have to do it to both sides. These cancel, bring down your N. So your answer is going to be 58 degrees. Okay. And again, you know that. Do your math. Boom. Alright, and then lastly, same thing, solving for N, we have 22 degrees, 15 degrees, and N degrees. So again, remember, in all these three together have to equal 180. So we have 15 degrees plus 22 degrees plus N degrees equals 180 degrees, because that's what our theorem tells us. We're going to draw our line. Notice how we have all three of these together. It's going to equal 180. We're going to combine our like terms. So our like terms are just the same jersey. They wear the same jersey, so these are constants. So that's what we call these, our like terms. Those are constants. We're going to combine them. So we have 37 degrees plus N degrees equals 180. Same thing here. The opposite of a positive is a negative because we want to cancel these out. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. And then we're going to go ahead and cancel, bring down our N, and then our answer is going to be 143 degrees. So these are all of our answers for finding the missing angle using the angle theorem. All right. So this is how we do this using the angle sum theorem, where all your angles are equal to 180 when we add them together. Alright, so now that we've done this part, we can go back, and now let's learn about the exterior angle theorem. So we learned that the exterior angle theorem is going to be the following. It's going to be the measure So the measure of the exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the remote interior angles. So again, very wordy, but in short, the important thing that we need to understand and recognize is that this is going to be the exterior angle, which is here, and we're going to color that in a second, is always going to be equal to the sum of the remote interior angles. So remember, remote interior angles, we did that definition above in our notebook. These remote interior angles are opposite of our exterior. So we're just going to make those colorful. So I want a different color, so give me a second. So we're going to do a green here. So our remote are here. So these are your remote angles. And then you have your exterior angle, which is outside of the, okay? And so therefore, you have angle 1, angle 2, and angle 4. And this theorem tells us that when we do the sum, remember sum means to add. So when we add angle 1 and 2 together, it's going to equal our exterior angle, which is angle 4. Okay? So, open it up, and now we're going to practice. So, let's look at our practice. So, we're going to, again, same thing we did here, identify our remote and exterior. So, we have our remote here. I'm going to do this on all of them so we don't have to keep coming back to it. You just want to identify the remote. Okay. And now we want to identify the exterior. So we know when we add our green together, it's going to equal our red. So here we have 105 degrees plus 30 degrees is going to equal our missing value, which we're going to call x. And so you're just going to add those together, and you get 135 degrees equals x degrees. Again, pause this if you need to so that you can practice these on your own. Same thing here. These are our remote. We know if we add them together, 75 degrees plus 25 degrees is going to be equal to x degrees. We know if we add those together, 100 degrees equals x degrees. So again, we're just trying to find that remote, or find that exterior, excuse me. So these are your remotes. Use our remotes to find the exterior. So lastly, in this situation, we're missing one of our remote angles, which we'll call x. And we have our exterior. So we're going to set this up to where when we add 105 degrees plus x degrees, it's going to equal 155 degrees. And now we're just going to get x by itself. So we need to subtract, because the opposite of a positive is a negative. So on 105, we're going to subtract it on both sides, because our goal is to get x by itself. So x degrees is going to equal 50 degrees. Okay? And so that is how we solve using the exterior angle theorem. So now you're going to go ahead and take your foldable, go and take your piece of paper or your notebook, whichever one you're choosing, and you're going to glue it in starting here. So again, you don't want a lot of glue on the whole thing, because doing that is going to make it messy. You only want it on the part that's actually going to be in the notebook. Okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and put some dots here. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. because the top half is the half that's going to be glued in the notebook or on the piece of paper. Again, these are your notes that you're going to be able to use on your quiz. I'm just going to glue it in here. And then, because it's hanging off the bottom, you see that? We're going to just fold this up so that it doesn't hang off. So again, this is your notes. When you close your notebook, it should be able to just be nice and clean. You open it up, you can unfold it, look at all your answers, look at your notes, and have your definitions up above. And then your next activity, you're going to actually do it on the back of that page. So you're going to have some practice problems. You're going to do them on the back. You can check your answers on the grid.